What was it like growing up as a first-generation Mexican American in the 1970s and the 1980s?
1970s, I was born in 78.
I was born in 67.
So you probably remember more about growing up in those years.
It was fun because I grew up with all the cholos and all that. When what is it called? Those car shows? What are those called?
The car shows.
No,
The lowriders.
The lowriders in the night and all that. But yeah, I mean, it was fun. Fun and unique.
I remember more. I remember like 84 maybe, my earliest memory, but I was like, what, 5 or 6 years old, so I really don't remember like much in the 80s.
A lot of the 80s was nothing but car shows and cholos and all of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't either.
How did your parents' experience as immigrants influence your childhood?
Repeat that again?
How did your parents' experiences as immigrants influence your childhood?
From what I know, my dad lived... When my grandpa came to the States, he came with a work permit. And then he sent for my dad, because my dad's the oldest of all the kids. And when my dad came, he also came with the work permit. And they were working the fields on King Road where Raging Waters is. That's where he was living. And my mom says that she drove by once when my dad and my mom were dating. And he showed my mom the house. And it was literally just boards. It was literally boards with like the aluminum roofs.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just all boarded up. It was not even a house, and that's where my dad lived. That's when my dad first came. My mom was more privileged because she also came almost like on a work visa, but she came to stay with my uncle to babysit and be like a maid, you can say.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom was under a nice roof and everything, so...
And how did that influence your childhood?
I didn't know any of this because this is what I learned growing up, but I didn't learn about this until I was older as an adult. But I had like a privileged life. Like, I don't feel like it didn't really set in until I learned more about my parents' past. What about you?
I feel the same way. Our mom struggled more, I think.
Yeah.
Especially working in a cannery.
Yeah. See, I don't remember that. But that's when they worked in the canneries.
I remember
they had
working.
Men jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they would get out from work late, go to bed late, get up early, feed the kids, take them to school, wash clothes, and all. I remember all of that. And then just getting a couple of hours of sleep and doing it all over again.
And how did that impact you?
I knew I didn't want to work in the canneries, ever. Because I seen how hard they worked. So it made me want to go to college, some kind of college, even if it was beauty college, but something. I didn't want to do what they did.
Okay. What language did you primarily speak at home versus at school, and how did that affect you?
Spanish.
First language is Spanish.
Mm-hmm. It didn't affect me at all.
It affected me.
It didn't affect
A
me.
lot till this day. With my Spanglish, but it's not Spanglish and it's not no sabo. It's just, I went to a private school, so they told my mom that they couldn't speak to us in English anymore. I mean, they couldn't speak to us in Spanish anymore. They had to speak to us in English, and they held me back. And because of that, because my first language was Spanish, I remember when I was in school, I was in a special program for kids that were having difficulty learning, and they would separate us in like reading groups. And the kids that needed help, I remember we all sat together. And you know what's funny? Now that as an adult, I talked over with my friend Sal that comes over, right? And he was telling me, he's like, did you notice that they just put all the Hispanic kids together in that group? And
That's what I was going to say.
I'm like, He's like, yeah. He's like, it was just all the Spanish kids. He's like, so-and-so didn't speak a slick Spanish, and he was still in that group. So, yeah, it was that diversity that they would separate us.
Mm-hmm.
At least when I was growing up. And I did go to a Catholic school, so.
Catholic schools are worse.
Did you ever feel pressure to fit in with American culture? What did that look like for you?
No,
No.
never.
I didn't know what American or Mexican was, like the culture. Again, I went to a Catholic school, so we had to wear a uniform. But
But
no.
we didn't have that because we were raised in the east side.
Yeah.
But
So we
didn't
had a
have-
lot of culture where we
Yeah.
grew up. And then when I went to high school, that's when I didn't have to wear a uniform. But I just wore whatever. I didn't really feel like I had to fit in. But again, we went to a school that was very cultured. If that makes sense. Diverse. It was very diverse, the school we went to. So we didn't have to worry about none of those. I think it was more predominantly Mexican, if I'm correct, than any other race.
Mexican and Samoans.
Yes. A lot of Samoans. Yes, you're right.
Sorry, my phone closed. What did your experience in school? What was your experience like in school? Did you feel supported or treated differently?
Supported. I didn't feel
In
differently.
school, well, I just mentioned how they separated us, just the Mexicans to read.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the only
but
thing.
that's in your Catholic school, but not
Correct.
in Overfelt.
No, not in
Overfelt. I
Overfelt.
didn't feel that way at all.
Not at all. They actually embraced our culture.
Mm-hmm.
We had multicultural days, and I danced folklorico, and I danced Azteca dances, and that's pretty much where
Mm-hmm.
they embraced our culture. All the cultures there, actually.
Okay. Were there moments when you became more aware of your identity as Mexican American?
Not when I was a child, but now that as I grew up, yes. I think I started realizing it when they had first elected Trump. That's when
Yeah.
I started feeling it. But
When
I
they
didn't-
started voting and they started asking, are you Hispanic or you're Mexican?
well, that was
Yeah.
before. That was before. But I think with everything going on now, or when he was elected the first time, I think that's when I started feeling like, oh, like I'm Mexican American. I'm not just American. I'm Mexican American. And the whole time,
You just thought of yourself as American.
I just thought of myself as just. I didn't feel like I didn't know that there was anything like culture. Like you're born here, you're not.
That started way before Trump.
Correct.
I remember
no,
that.
No, correct. But that's when I started noticing it more like, oh, I'm Mexican American. I mean,
Yeah.
in high school, when we did do all those rallies, walking out, like for like the 187 and all of that, all of those. Yes, I knew I was born here, but I knew I was fighting for my people. So, but I still didn't feel that difference then. I just knew I was like the backbone of people that couldn't open their mouth. But as an adult is when I started realizing like, oh, like you don't see me the same. Does that make sense to you?
No, I've always known that since high school because they would ask, I don't know if you remember, but they would ask you when you would do your test, you're Hispanic, you're Mexican, or you're
White or
yeah.
other.
And that's when I'm all like, wait a minute, I'm Hispanic or Mexican. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when I noticed that.
Did you or your family face discrimination or stereotypes? How did you respond to these experiences?
Thank God I have not experienced it or any of my loved ones from what I know.
Me
I
neither.
do know that when my mom came to the States, she was, what, 15, 16?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how the conversation came up. Mind you, my mom's 80 now. But can't remember how I made the comment or how the conversation came up. And I asked her about, like, was there still racism when you came to the States? And she said that when she came, the bathroom still had signs where Mexicans and blacks were not allowed to use. That's crazy. That's really wild. But she does say that. I have never experienced it. I don't know. I've never had that. But hearing my mom say that, that was crazy.
Yeah, I've never experienced it.
Okay.
Not even when I used to live in Texas.
How important was it for your family to maintain Mexican traditions? And which one stood out most?
We didn't carry any.
Mm-mm.
The only thing we carried Mexican tradition was las piñatas. Other than that,
Mm-mm. We don't have any.
Mm-mm.
none. It's sad. I think.
Other than for Christmas, we eat atole and tamales, but that's it.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Growing up, did you learn about Mexican American history or culture in your school? How did that impact you?
I learned it in school. I learned about my culture and everything in school. And that, again, that's when I was dancing Folklorico and Aztec dancing. That's when I learned more because you had to learn each dance, where it pertained from or came from. And that's when I started learning more. And because there was a lot of Mexican kids in my school, not that they were rubbing off of me, but I was learning a lot of stuff. Actually, that's where I learned, like, Dia de las Madres, to sing to the moms, because of the friends I had met in high school. But that's where I started learning more about my culture.
I learned it when I got married with my husband. And we went to his hometown. I learned a lot. Even the traditions and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, I learned it once I married
Yeah.
Beto, and I'm firstborn here, which are your firstborn, but we're first generation, and they're born in Mexico. So yeah, we learned it from our husbands. We lost it with our parents, but we learned it with our husbands.
Okay. How do you think opportunities for Mexican Americans have changed since you were young?
I feel like they're the same.
No.
No?
No.
I feel like it's equally hard. It's just they know how to, like, maneuver. They're not as racist out loud like before.
No, Hispanics have come a long
Oh, they've come a long way.
No, yeah, the opportunities for Mexican Americans.
Opportunities.
Yeah.
You think those have changed since you were young? So when you're younger as to now, do you think those opportunities for Mexican Americans as yourself, do you think they've changed?
Yep. I do. More opportunities for them to go to college.
Yeah, that's true.
As before, no, era más difícil. If your parents are field workers, you have more opportunities también. They help you more. A lot of opportunities now.
Yeah.
But do people know about them? No, they don't. That's the bad thing.
Unless they go to a school that advocates for them. Yeah.
I mean, you see a lot of Hispanic people in offices being doctors and all of that. Before, you didn't see all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's more.
Okay. What challenges did you face that you think younger generations might not fully understand today?
I didn't face any challenges.
Any challenges at all. That we didn't take them was another thing. But I think it was easier for us. It was easier, but we didn't take those opportunities as for you guys, it's harder now.
Yeah.
Okay. What role did community, like your friends, neighbors, church, etc., play in your upbringing?
In mine, nothing. Yours tampoco.
I mean, I had a close bond with the kids I went to school with at MHT at the Catholic school. We were like a family, but other than that,
Okay. How has your identity as a Mexican American shaped your career or life choices?
I feel like it's worked amazing for me, at least for my profession. I'm assuming when you worked, it was the same thing. I'm bilingual. I'm Mexican American, so at least for my self-employed job, knowing that I can speak the language and and have a good conversation with my clients has brought me so many opportunities where a lot of these clients, because they don't speak English, they can't just go into any salon because they have been refused. And at least with me, they can come in, and as soon as they see that sign on my door that says Hablamos Español, they feel very, very comfortable. So for me, it has worked out because I love my culture and I embrace it. As an adult, I learned so much, and I bring that out in every single aspect in my life, all the way around. It doesn't get quiet for anything, so people know.
Okay. This is the last one. What advice would you give to younger Mexican Americans today about identity and success?
Be proud. Be very, very proud that you're Mexican American, and use that privilege of knowing both languages to succeed in life, because that's going to take you further more than people that don't know two languages. And whenever they try to discourage you for speaking a different language, always remember how blessed you are to know two languages and not just one.